It's a 22-8 lead for the Titans of Franklinville, Ellicottville after 2 quarters of play. The Titans went up 8-0. Wilson came back, tied at 8-8, then back-to-back touchdowns for the Titans has them up by the score that they do. Mike Fata joins me, Jack Cruiser, for the halftime report. Coach, in that first half, we saw John Nuzzo, the quarterback of the Titans, rush for 2 touchdowns that put the Titans up 16-8. As I would like to apologize for the technical issues on your screen. We're getting them squared away before the second half begins for the folks at home. John Nuzzo, with his legs, got it done early in that first half.
Yeah, Nuzzo definitely early in that first half was the story with his legs, with his running style, and really just the confidence he ran with. And to me, the story is that Wilson responded to that. They shut that down, but Nuzzo, being a versatile player, answered with his arm and really put a different spin on that first half, because it would have been a way different story with that last touchdown not on the board, or if Wilson would have got a little closer with that.
So then that Wilson defense, what forced Nuzzo to go to his arm was the Wilson defense's ability to shut down that run. They had a stop deep in Franklinville, Ellicottville's own territory that forced a punt. Wilson wasn't able to capitalize on the following drive, but Coach, what does that defensive stop for Wilson leave for them for the second half?
Well, I think they need to build on. They're going to have to Franklinville, Ellicottville gets the ball here, and again, just like the end of the half, you don't want them to back touchdowns in and around a halftime, right? Because that's the killer. So they really need to keep him hemmed in. It's likely that they are not going to attempt to throw the ball like they did in the first half, because they were in a 2-minute situation. So I would still come out in that 4-4 and first things first, stop his legs, because he was making it look easy.
And then that final score with 1:18 left in the first half. Nuzzo found Schenk in the end zone for the first air passing touchdown of the season for the Titans. What does that touchdown do for the Titans offensively, and what does it on the other side do to the Wilson defense?
Well, it makes them extremely versatile, right? So not only do you have to worry about him showing pass and pulling it down and running, you also have the threat of him throwing it over top of you. So when he can do both, it's tough to stop. They just have to make sure. What I think they should do is really take away his legs and start there, because again, that's a lot easier than doing what he did in the end of the first half.
Well, we've got some scores across Western New York to report to you. Of course, the weekend kicked off last night here on Western New York Athletics with a 55-8 victory for the Portville Panthers over Frewsburg. That game was over before it began. Tonight's action, we've got a scoring update from East Aurora Holland, as East Aurora Holland is on top of Faulkner 41. I beg your pardon. Faulkner is on top of East Aurora Holland 41-0 at the half. That game, the Golden Cougars were up 21-0 after the first quarter, and they more than doubled it in the second quarter. We'll get more scoring updates as we get them across Western New York. We thank you for joining us here on Western New York Athletics for the Wilson Lakemen and the Franklinville Ellicottville Titans. Just about ready for half number 2. Technical difficulty issues all but squared away as we've got our sponsors rolling across the top left. Howard Hanna Real Estate, Western New York and Media Care, Empire Electric is also part of that conglomerate of advertisers we are ever so grateful for, and we're ever so grateful for you, ladies and gentlemen, joining us here for Friday Night Lights, and a beautiful night here in Wilson, New York, just south of Lake Ontario, about a 40-minute drive from the city of Buffalo that Coach Fata and I made earlier tonight. Glad you could join us here. Also big to note about that final score for Franklinville Ellicottville. It results in them getting the ball back as they won the coin toss and deferred to start the game. They score with a minute left in the half, and they get a chance to double dip here, up 22-8. Crowd on their feet and loud to start half number 2, looking to will their team back into it. Hunter Smith tried to field it, but he had his knee down when he fielded the ball.
Yeah, he had some guys in front of him there too, so that's a shame. But got to be a little wiser than that to put your knee down scooping that ball up.
22-8 the score that you see on your screen in the bottom left. Wilson on the left. They're also on the left on the field. In the orange uniforms, Franklinville Ellicottville up by 2 scores here in half number 2 with their first drive of the second half. Nuzzo, 2 touchdowns with his legs, 1 touchdown with his arm. His last drive, he didn't run at all. Threw it from his own 20-yard line all the way down the field. He's in shotgun to start the second half. 2 backs to his left and right. The throw to the right side falls short. Well, that was something we saw Nuzzo work on a lot at practice earlier this week, was that quick out route, that quick screen pass to the right and left sides. Coach Jason Marsh even demonstrated a few times firing the ball outside, getting it out in speed. Nuzzo just not enough under that one.
Trying to stretch the defense there and keep them honest on the outside. Instead, it brings out a 2nd and 10 after an incomplete pass.
Ball at the 22-yard line, 2nd and 10. Nuzzo in shotgun takes the snap. Designed run up the right side of the line. He's met at the line of scrimmage. Ben Warketter blitzes in from the linebacker position and wraps up the quarterback.
Coach Atlas, without a doubt, told Warketter and the other outside linebacker, I think it's Lackner, to keep their eyes on Nuzzo and do not let him run the ball, because that was the quickest, easiest way to the end zone for Franklinville, Ellicottville.
3rd down, 9 to go on the play. After a pickup of 1 on 2nd. At the 23-yard line, the entire offense looking at their play sheets on their wristbands. Now Nuzzo in shotgun. Swalsey to his right, drops the snap, scoops it back up. In the backfield is Evan Wolf for the sack.
Big start to the second half for Wilson. They're going to force the punt here. Exactly what they needed to do to keep themselves in this. They prevented the double dip on both sides of the half, and now they're going to get the ball back with probably good field position.
Scoring update from Randolph. It's 14-10 in the third quarter there. The Cardinals over CSP. 4th down and long. Nuzzo to punt it away. What a boot this was, high in the air. It's caught and fielded by Wolf, and he takes it beyond the 30.
Back-to-back aggressive quality plays from Evan Wolf. Sacking and stopping the outside run. Not sure if it was a pass or a run. It's probably a design run, but the tackle for loss on 3rd down and then a very aggressive punt return. It results in great field position.
1st and 10 inside the 30 at the 29-yard line. You couldn't ask for better field position for your quarterback, Connor Ernest.
Evan Wolf attacked that, and those are one of those things that bounces off his chest. He's going to hear about it, but good for him for being aggressive and putting his team in a great position.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. Ernest in shotgun. The handoff goes to Mahar. Shimmy shakes in the backfield, and he's taken down around the line of scrimmage.
You could sense the energy coming from Wilson, from the guys in the field and the sideline. They're not done.
Fresh from the snack shack, the fans in the bleachers. Raucous to start the second half, and it helped a 3-and-out to be forced against the Titans on their first offensive drive. Quickly, just 2 minutes into play here in quarter number 3, the Wilson Lakemen inside the 30 for 2nd down and 10.
If you're Wilson here, you don't want to squander this opportunity. You need points on the board.
In shotgun. Ernest hands it off. Mahar to the left side. He's met there in the hole. Hunter Smith wrapped him up.
Hamza Merrick pulling around there, that right guard again, and there seemed to be an opening, but that handoff, that exchange pretty deep in the backfield. The timing seemed off. It didn't give Mahar a chance to get to the line of scrimmage there.
Smith and Chudy on the tackle. Nine minutes to go in the third quarter. 22-8 the score. 3rd down. 11 to go from the 30. Wilson looking to respond after forcing a 3-and-out. In motion is Mahar. Alone in the backfield, the quarterback Ernest delivers on the left side. Intercepted. Picked off at the 15-yard line. Staying in bounds is Noah Shank. Shank down the sideline has blockers with him. Finally, he's taken down beyond the 45-yard line. What a play from the junior cornerback.
You know what? 5 wide receivers set there on 3rd and long, and Ernest delivered a ball that Drew Dable was not ready for. There was either a miscommunication there or Dable just wasn't expecting it that early because he did not have his head around in time to even play defense on that play.
The Titans, after a 3-and-out, gave Wilson great field position. They get out of trouble. Still up 2 scores with plenty of time still to play, approaching 20 minutes left of regulation time. 1st and 10 at the 46. Handoff Swalsey.
We hadn't had Swalsey's name called in a while. A good strong run and 1st down, gets about half of it. Looking at a 2nd and 5. Might be looking to get Swalsey involved a little more since it seems that Wilson figured out Nuzzo.
Last week, Franklinville, Ellicottville relied heavily on the fullback dive as their fullback Hunter Smith had 3 scores in that game, though just 7 carries for 49 yards, all of those coming close to the end zone. An injured Titan is down on the field. 22-8 the score, 8:17 with the clock stopped. With the injury on the field, we'll step aside and join you after this here on Western New York Athletics. Quarterback keeper for John Nuzzo on the play. Nuzzo brings it inside offensive territory. A 1st down for the Titans. Nuzzo pops back onto his feet after meeting Lackner in the hole.
Coach Marsh dials up a different kind of run for Nuzzo. He's been trying to get to the outside with a pass look in the past, but that was kind of taken away. So he said, "I'm going to run a quarterback ISO right at you off tackle," and that.
Cheerleaders trying to prompt their team and fans back into this one. Defensively, watching Nuzzo run on the right side. He's tackled around the numbers of the 40-yard line, just shy of the 35. 2nd down and long coming up. What a turnover would mean here for Wilson after the pick ended their last drive.
It's crucial Wilson responds here. They're within grasp of this game, but another score is going to make it real difficult on them.
You mentioned the depth of that Franklinville-Ellicottville team at halftime. Just in sheer numbers on the sideline, they were able to bring in, even though we had an injured player on the previous play, pull him out of bounds and get another guy in there, said Jason Marsh. His offense right back on the field and driving. 2nd and long. Swalsey in the backfield. Instead, the handoff goes to Smith from the fullback spot. He stopped short of the 30-yard line, though a pickup of around 5 or 6.
You mentioned that fullback from last week, Jack, and what you saw there is a little flex bone offense. Looked like the Navy triple option deal there, and that's probably what they were running last week, I'd imagine, because that's a whole different beast to defend, and looks like they're going into it now for a few downs at least.
So, Coach, describe that offense to me like I'm 4 years old here.
So if you're 4 years old, what Nuzzo's going to do is he's going to put that ball on the fullback's belly, that dive, and he's going to read somebody, and if they take him, he's going to pull the ball and run. So see what we get here.
Well, instead it'll be an offside call on 3rd and 4 that will give the Titans the first down. A bit jumpy on the near side was Brandon Martin.
So to continue on that, Jack, so if Wilson doesn't have their assignments down on who's responsible for that fullback dive, who's responsible for Nuzzo if he keeps the ball, and they probably even have a pitch off that. If Wilson hasn't sorted out all those details and gotten reps during the week, it's very difficult to defend.
A receiver split to each side as well as Chudy and Shank are out wide. Hunter Smith in the backfield. He can't get the ball because Nuzzo was taken down with it.
Defensive tackle there, and they're immediately right at the point of exchange. And Nuzzo tried to keep the ball, but not the best decision because he got swallowed up immediately.
Emmerich Muck, 6'2", 210 on the tackle. 5 minutes to go in the third. 22-8, the visitors on top and driving. 2nd and long here from their opponent's 28-yard line. Nuzzo tucks it and runs up the right side of the line, pushes it to the 20-yard line.
Coach Marsh dialing up that quarterback ISO again. He hasn't had success since earlier in the game with the outside runs with Nuzzo. Wilson figured that out, but now he's going right to the quarterback ISO, which is they're just outnumbering Wilson at the point of attack and just running straight downhill at him. And the last 2 times they've run that, they've got pretty good gains.
Third down and 5 from the 22-yard line. Nuzzo, snap goes over his head. He scoops it up at the 30, pitches it forward. Smith has it now, and he's taken down at the 31. A big stop for the Wilson defense.
I think Smith was as surprised as anyone to get that in his hands at the last minute there. Nuzzo trying to keep it alive and trying to make a play, but that part of it didn't work either. So you're looking at another 4th down.
Without Brad John, their usual field goal kicker, nothing else to do but go for it here on 4th and long in the offensive territory. 15 yards to gain.
Coach March mentioned before the game that Owen Chudy is somebody they're looking to develop here, and you won't be surprised they go up to him.
Nuzzo steps up in the pocket. He doesn't have space to run. He throws at the line of scrimmage, and it's caught. Bilecki, 5, touchdown. Bo Bilecki, as the play was breaking down, makes the grab and takes it in for 6.
What a great athletic play by Bilecki. Not only did he haul that in, he made somebody miss, and he broke the rest of the distance all the way to the end zone, outran a guy, and what a play all on 4th down.
Bilecki's last catch that was in the end zone, the 2-point conversion on the game's first score. His most recent, the first of the second half. That extends the lead for the Titans to 3 scores now. They'll go for 2. The pitch, Bilecki. Got it. .30 points have been scored by the Titans.
Bo Bilecki showing how versatile he is. Not only did he catch a long pass on 4th down, made somebody miss, and outran another player to the end zone, he also gets a pitch on the 2-point conversion the very next play and punches it in and really puts Franklinville, Ellicottville out way ahead of Wilson with 3:13 left in the third quarter.
We'll take a break and come back for the final 15-13 to play in regulation here from Wilson right after this on WNY Athletics. 3:13 to go in the third quarter of play. A 22-point lead for the Titans after Nuzzo finds Bilecki on 4th and long. This one goes off of Wolf to his own 5. He dives to keep it out of the end zone. He scoops it up. He beats a couple tackles. Wolf has some space in front of him if he could beat the final tackler, but he cannot. Down inside his own 15. That's not the return the Lakemen wanted.
No, you know what, though? I know guys like Wolf, you can tell he's playing hard. He's doing the, he's persevering. Even though that play, backed him up, he still made what he could out of it in the end and saved some yards. And Wolf's the kind of guy every coach wants on his team. I got a feeling Coach Atlas thinks the same.
Well, we get to see the arm of the junior quarterback, Connor Ernest, step up in this moment. 3:03 to go in the third. Down 22. We can expect a heavy passing offense here, though they still have their junior, Jack Mahar, in the backfield. And the pitch goes to Mahar. Down before the 15.
Yeah, you wonder how much the depth is going to take over here that Franklinville, Ellicottville has over Wilson. Not only the depth in their bench, but also a little bigger team. As the game stretches out into the fourth quarter here, you wonder how much of a factor that's going to become.
Chudy with the tackle on the previous play. He stepped up offensively, perhaps as a decoy on that last touchdown that Bilecki caught. He sets the edge on the D-line this time. Ernest throws over the middle to Warketter. He makes the catch at the 40-yard line. Bilecki brings him down right there, but a big first down for the Lakemen.
Great focus by Warketter, hauling that in. I know you heard the footsteps, but he didn't care. He hauled it in, and what a great way to get out of the bad part of the field position you're dealing with.
That's the senior tight end, Ben Warketter. His brother, Bill, the center freshman. Number 59 in the middle of the offensive line. Under 2 minutes to go in the third. A 22-point lead that the Lakemen would like to cut into. Mahar picks up 4 or 5 on the play. Slowinski was on his back, and Smith was at his knees.
A little fold play inside there. One of their base runs from Wilson. Good first down gain. Gets him about 5 yards. They got to get the tempo going here as they need some points fast.
Second down, 5 to go at the 45-yard line. Ernest in shotgun. Mahar to his right hip. Ernest looking deep, throws down to the right side, looking for his brother. It's too far, and it's picked off. Bilecki makes the play. Another grab for 11 in right. This time it'll flip fields for the Titans.
Seemed to overthrow his brother there a little bit. I'm sure they'll talk about that at the dinner table.
Well, depending on what the Titans can do on this drive, this game may be all but over for the Lakemen on their first home game of the season. The fans were treated to a great game in the first half and into the first couple drives of this second half. Though it was 22-8, the final play of the first half, an untimed play, nearly resulted in a touchdown, just fell incomplete. Plenty to stick around for after the half, and we're glad you did as well here on Western New York Athletics. But a Nuzzo to Bilecki 30-yard bomb extended the lead to 30-8. Bilecki on the run for the 2-point conversion added to that, and then the Bilecki pick flips the field and now puts Franklinville, Ellicottville in the driver's seat to extend their record to 2-0 after starting the season with a non-conference victory over St. Mary's last week.
Yeah, that sequence at the end of the half really was a crucial juncture of the game where it really could have went either way. It could have been a tie game or up 2 scores, and unfortunately for Wilson, Franklinville, Ellicottville ended up 2 scores going in the second half, and then kind of taken over here in the second half as well.
The final 25 tick away in quarter number 3. 2 in the backfield for the Titans. Nuzzo instead throws the out. What a run for Bilecki.
Lucky, another strong runner on that Franklinville-Ellicottville team. You can tell he's the guy Coach Marsh wants to get the ball to in space and off the backfield action earlier for the 2-point conversion. He's a versatile player.
Bo Bilecki, a junior, senior quarterback, along with the senior tailback, the only two leaving on the skill position side of things for next year. But don't you worry, Titan fans. You've got one heck of a quarterback filling in the shoes for Nuzzo next year. Isaac Town, the sophomore on the roster this year, has been groomed to take over that position. He'll be the next in line at the quarterback spot as the elder Ernest is down on the field. He's getting tended to by a trainer. We'll take a break and step back right after this. Scoring update across Western New York. The Medina Mustangs on top of Barker Royhart Lindenville, 40-0. 7:33 to go in that. Noah Skinner busted a 55-yard run on that one to extend the lead for them. Also on Western New York Athletics, Randolph taking on CSP. 21-10, Randolph led the Wolfpack with 8:49 left in the third quarter. That score just about 20 minutes ago, so we invite you to check that out over on Western New York Athletics, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, though we thank you for joining us here for Wilson and Franklinville-Ellicottville. That Randolph team that's currently on top of the Wolfpack, they will head to Ellicottville, make that Franklinville next week to take on the Titans. They rotate their home games, coach, back and forth. Franklinville and Ellicottville do.
It's all very confusing.
Spoken like a true coach of Cheektowaga Central. One team, you played on one field. You didn't have to worry about any of that. Other schools combining.
Franklinville-Ellicottville is a mount. I want to give respect to both schools, too. So it is a mouthful, though, I got to admit.
Absolutely.
It's tempting to say F.E.
F.E.ville.
F.E.ville could go that way, too.
Could be the next
You tell me now.
F.E.ville will host Randolph next week, Friday, September 16th, a 7 p.m. kickoff from Franklinville. Pretty interesting when you've got these combined schools. I'm talking to the coaches, and their defensive coach, their defensive coordinator, Chris Mendel, is the head coach of the Ellicottville baseball team. And he's saying how these same athletes on the football team that play baseball, that play basketball, wrestle, Franklinville and Ellicottville are rivals in every other sport, not combined for anything but football. But they put everything aside, and they're like best friends on the football field. You saw it at practice.
Right. It has to be an interesting dynamic, especially with a rival. But I'm sure those guys come together in a sport like football where it really is the ultimate team sport. Those guys have to come together, and it probably make lifetime-long connections.
Could you imagine, though, playing with a Maryville Flyers team during the football season and then putting those swords aside for the rest of the year? Baseball, basketball, every other sport.
Well, I would say two things. I would say that be very interesting combining with Maryville. I don't know if a lot of people would be comfortable with that, but I'd also say for a few years, though, the heck of a football team we would have had, because Maryville had some great teams over the years, some great games between us, and we always, along with Cleve Hill, and we always talked about, what if the Cheektowaga schools combined? It would have been interesting.
I tell you, the mascot would have been interesting for those teams as well. John Nuzzo over the middle, complete again. Bilecki, another big catch inside offensive territory, down at the 30. Perhaps a fumble on the play as well, but Bilecki covered it right up.
Yeah, Bilecki, another strong runner, confident player from FUville, as we say. Really, somebody I could see why Coach Marsh was telling us before the game started that he's somebody that's going to get some touches today.
For a game that neither team had film on the opponents for, Franklinville-Ellicottville has come out and imposed their will on this Wilson defense for a majority of tonight's contest, though they perhaps didn't know what to expect from that Wilson defense.
Right, but again, they are a very versatile team. They can move the ball in a variety of ways. That they show the quarterback runs inside and outside. They can show they can throw the ball, they can run a 2-minute offense effectively, and they can even run a little triple option. So they're not an easy team to defend, and I'm sure they're not an easy team to prepare for.
Randolph will have to prepare for them. It'll be a rematch of last year's Class D sectional championship where Randolph won 26-20. This Franklinville-Ellicottville team has won sectional championships before at Highmark Stadium in their 7-year existence as a program, as they're knocking on the door of the red zone here with Nuzzo under center. He'll take it himself for a minimal gain. Back in 2019, you remember one of the state championship football teams out of Western New York was that CSP team in Class D. They went all the way and brought a title back to Western New York in 19. That season, this Franklinville-Ellicottville program was undefeated until that point. They had taken down CSP earlier in that season. Week 1 of the playoffs, their quarterback sprains his ankle on the first drive of the game. And you talk about the depth of the program now. Coach Marsh said it was not the same back in 19. They didn't have a backup quarterback. So his quarterback went down. CSP was able to get the victory. And that's all she wrote, though he says that team was his best team that he's ever had. This one might compete with it, though, as Nuzzo looks for Schenk in the end zone, falls incomplete. But boy, oh boy, this team is deep. They've got talent on both sides of the ball, though a lot of their players do play both sides of the ball for good reason.
Yeah, and again, they play good, sound football. You don't see a lot of turnovers out of them. You see some clean play, and they're well coached because you could tell Coach before the game. He was talking to his team, and he was talking about how to maintain focus. They had a long ride here. They were a 2-hour trip to get here. So imagine imagine that effect on your players. So he was smart about how he was refocusing them, and it worked because here they are in a great position.
Nuzzo finds his receiver in great position again. This time it's Owen Chudy. Perhaps an opportunity here to get someone else involved in the scoring fun today. Nuzzo has been in on all 4 touchdowns, 2 running, 2 passing. Schenk with a reception, and Bilecki with the most recent reception touchdown as we enter the final 8 minutes of play in the fourth quarter.
And Coach Marsh said that Chudy was an up-and-coming player for him. So, again, as you just stated, Jack, it's a good opportunity to not only run some clock, get a score, but also get those other players involved.
Chudy lined up on the near side. He watches the handoff go for Swalsey. Last week, 9 carries for 47 yards for Christian, the tailback senior. Another opportunity to get him his first score on the season as well here, and do so in a somewhat respectful manner. Just running the ball, killing the clock, not trying to run anything up here, but can't really take all your starters out when most of your starters play both sides of the ball here. We'll look to see if Franklinville-Ellicottville does get another drive, if we'll get Isaac Town at quarterback. I'd love to see a sneak preview of him selfishly. Nuzzo under center. 2nd and goal at the 5. Handoff. Touchdown. Christian Swalzy gets his first score on the 2022 season. His senior year continues. Franklinville, Ellicottville looking to extend their overall record to 2-0 today. They're en route to doing just that. 36-8 the score, awaiting the extra point.
Yeah, they look real strong. A very impressive football team. They were consistent today. They moved the ball in a variety of ways. They played sound defense, and they're going to be a force to reckon with. They seem to have it all. They have skilled players. They have a good senior line in front of those players, and they can improvise.
Well, perhaps a whose line is it anyway skit gone wrong there on the 2-point conversion attempt. 36-8 is the score after that one failed. Doesn't matter for FEville, as they'll take that as they will. 36-8 the score, 6:44 to go in the fourth quarter. We'll be back right after this. .644 to go in the fourth quarter. If you're still with us, thanks. 36-8 is the score. Titans on top big time here. They'll extend their seasonal record to 2-0, their first win in Class D this year, as they'll get their first win in program history over Wilson. The Lakemen will take their first loss in program history against the Titans of Franklinville, Ellicottville. We're working on some scoring updates across Western New York for you from yesterday and today. I look forward to tomorrow on Western New York Athletics at 2 p.m. We've got a doubleheader. West Seneca West at Ken West and Salamanca at Cleve Hill. Two good matchups, should be at least, at 2 p.m. on Western New York Athletics. That leaves you some time to catch some dinner between our feature match of the night over on Will South's YouTube page, a Western New York production of Maritime at Will South. Joe Licata looking for his first win as Will South head coach. Lost a tough battle against Williamsville East last week. Will East, a tough opponent this year up in Class A. Class A that's got numerous new opponents this year. Clarence dropping down from Double-A. Plenty of teams moving around. This Wilson team, one of those dropping from a larger class from C to D here this year. Though they won the consolation tournament of the postseason last year, winning the Chuck Funky Bowl championship, taking on a team that's now in Class B in Falconer, Cassadaga Valley, and Maple Grove. They ended the season on a 4-game winning streak last year, and they'll start the 2022 season on a 2-game losing streak. Bill Atlas has a lot to work on after this performance, although that's not to say there weren't positives from it. They did come out and they executed. Coach about stopping the run of John Nuzzo. That forced a change from Franklinville, Ellicottville. But plenty of positives still for Wilson.
Yeah, Coach Atlas definitely made adjustments that worked. It was just Ellicottville have too many answers. They have many ways to succeed and move the ball and win. So and then it's a hallmark of a good football team. They don't just do it one way. Coach Marsh is prepared with answers to answers. So and that's why we're at 36-8.
Some standout performances from this Wilson team tonight. Connor Peck earlier in this half had back-to-back plays defensively that stopped the drive of the Titans of Franklinville, Ellicottville. Peck, beautiful deep in coverage when he knew the pass was coming. He's just a junior. He'll be around all this year and next. Up on the D-line and in the backfield, Jack Mahar, a junior as well. You mentioned the strength and resilience of Evan Wolf, who's had a tremendous game up front and in the backfield for the Lakemen. Plenty of players across the offense and defense that have stood out.
And you know, to be fair to Wilson, they were, you know, at halftime going, again, we said it before, and I don't know if we're harping on it, but right before halftime, they were right in this. And if a ball bounces one way or the other, it could be a different half. So, you know, they should be proud of their effort today. And, again, I think they're, as you see a few players down, cramping up and getting injured as we wind down here, just to, you know, strike the point that depth does matter. And, you know, sometimes you're up against it when the team is you know, twice your size.
That's Jack Mahar, the lead backer, who went down with the injury there. He walks off the field under his own power. He's had an impressive day today. We look forward to seeing the stats come out on Monday afternoon to see what Mahar did offensively. Ernest, throw to the near side. Ethan Lackner gets his first snap on offense and a catch, replacing Mahar out wide.
A clean catch by Lackner. Good block out in front.
See some new players coming in here for Wilson.
I'm sure Coach Atlas is telling us, guys, let's end this thing with a touchdown. Let's have a pride drive, move forward, and have something to build on for next week.
Second down and short here with under 6 minutes to go in the fourth. Something to build off of here for their junior quarterback, Ernest. Hand off to Evan Wolf. Back up and at him is number 7. Well, I asked Jason Marsh if he looked ahead at any of the film from Randolph, who is head and shoulders above everyone else in Class D, as they're showing here tonight against CSP. Last we saw, it was 14-10 for Randolph on top there. Wolf, another carry beyond the 45. Boy, you mentioned the resilience of Evan Wolf all night. The pure heart out of this kid. He's willing his team down the field here when all hope is lost for this game at least. 36-8 with under 5 to go, as we've got scoring updates across Western New York, brought to you by Frank Wolf. Last night it was a 55-8 win for Portville over Frewsburg, and McKinley, the Macs, took down Hutch Tech 24-6. Hand off to Wolf again. Skips around the left side numbers and dives for an extra 2 at the end of the run. Another 9-yard gain. Tonight, Medina 40-0 over Royhart in the fourth quarter. Bennett on top of Clarence 28-7 in the fourth as well. Clarence, a tough loss to Orchard Park in week 1. Clarence just not getting any breaks early in their schedule.
Not at all.
On Double-A Orchard Park, and then Bennett, who's head and shoulders above everyone in Class A. They lost in overtime last week to an Erie McDowell team in Pennsylvania. A game that Bennett was up early. They were up late, rather. They never trailed until the final score of the game. Bennett just not able to walk away with a victory. Olean over Dunkirk, 12-7 in the fourth quarter. Falconer, Maple Grove, and Cassadaga Valley, 48 to East Aurora Hollins, 6 in the fourth quarter as well. Akron, 28, Tonawanda, 22 in the final frame. In the third quarter still, St. Francis, 18, Kellenberg with 14 points. That game in the third quarter, the Frannies looking to compete for that Monsignor Martin back-to-back title this season. Lackawanna up big on Alden, 36-zip in the fourth. Williamsville East looking to hang on to a 40-0 lead over Hamburg in the fourth quarter. That would put Will East at 2-0 on the year as Ernest goes down hard. He released the ball. Could we have a tuck rule here? They say it's an incomplete pass.
The late call there on the incomplete pass led to a little chaos in the field.
Not to mention Ernest now down on his back. The quarterback down. Timon, 29 over St. Andrews 0 in the fourth quarter. Sweet Home dominating over North Tonawanda 49-13. Randolph now up big on CSP 21-10 in the fourth quarter. And your final score update for now, 21-14, Orchard Park over Jamestown. That game just in the third quarter. If there's a Friday night final drive tonight, boy, it would be a couple of good games coming down to the wire here. Orchard Park, Jamestown, 7-point ball game in the third quarter there. St. Francis Kallenberg of Ohio, a one-score game as well. Even Olean Dunkirk. The Marauders looking to bounce back after a tough loss at Lakeshore that we had last week. Second and 10 here, 3 minutes to go.
As Wilson looks to close out this game, I know they'd like to see some end zone and end on a positive note. Even though you got the second team in there from Franklinville, Ellicottville, they've been moving the ball.
And a new quarterback as well in shotgun. Keeping it is Drew Dable. Dable skips around a defender. Drew Dable, nothing but orange. Touchdown. His first snap at quarterback ends for 6.
And that's what they're looking for, a little positivity. Roll this out, and Dable, how about him coming in, one snap and in?
Is that good? One snap, one touchdown? I'd say that's pretty darn good, Coach.
I know it ain't bad.
Well, Drew Dable had a big reception earlier in this game, if you can think back to it, as we approach 9:15 local time. About 2 hours ago, Dable had a big catch in the offensive territory as our other scoring update across Western New York, Franklinville, Ellicottville, up 36-14 as Wilson just capitalized with a Dable touchdown. Going for 2, Wolf gets it. Make it 36-16. How about that for some positivity to end things out here for Wilson? Still 3 minutes to go.
Well, Dable was a great run. He made some guys miss, and they're down 20 now.
Obviously, this game all but wrapped up with a bow and under the tree for Christmas. Well, how about the celebration on the scoreboard there you see from, was that the Wilson coaches, perhaps? A little video replay action up on the scoreboard you saw in your bottom left there.
I know the box lit up for Dable's efforts there. It was an exciting run. And good for him. I hope there's not a controversy brewing now over the quarterback situation in Wilson, New York.
Well, we at least hope that Ernest is all right. The junior quarterback went down with an injury that put Dable in at quarterback. Ernest, though, up and walking around on the near sidelines. He looks to be all right.
I believe Ernest came in for that 2-point conversion, so he doesn't seem hurt, nor does there seem to be a controversy.
Perhaps we will see next week who starts at the quarterback position for Wilson. They head to Portville to take on the Panthers, who just walloped Frewsburg 55-8 in that game. As sound the horns. The Lakemen are back.
I feel like we needed more horn tonight. That might have made the difference.
The more horn would have been nice, but they only play the horn after touchdowns.
Oh.
I'm sure the Wilson fans would agree they would like some more horn in their next game at home, which will be in 2 weeks on Friday, September 23rd at 7 p.m. They welcome Gowanda Pine Valley. The Panthers will roll into town. Plenty of Panthers down in Class D. I'm glad we got stuck on the game. I shouldn't say that. I'm glad we got put on the game here up in Wilson. The Lakemen against the Titans.
There's also a lot of miles involved in these teams because you have Gowanda coming to Wilson.
Sheesh. Bill Alice did talk about that, how he didn't like the fact that he had to drive down to visit all those other schools in Class D. His road schedule this year at Newfane is very close. That's their rivalry game, Week 7. But they're going to Randolph, they're going to Portville, and last week they were at Clymer. So not an easy schedule for the bus drivers. Fumble on the play.
Oh. And really, it's something you have to plan for. I know Coach Marsh said that they left it a little early. They stopped halfway. They stretched their legs. They did a little walk through halfway here, which I think is very smart because a 2-hour bus ride is no fun. Well, it'll be fun on the way home.
Well, I feel like after this type of win, if I'm on this Franklinville-Ellicottville team, I am sleeping. There is no chance I am staying up and partying on this bus ride home. Perhaps in a more dramatic fashion, had they won it, last minute, overtime game, 2 hours, you'd spend about an hour of it celebrating quite heavily. But in a game like this where it's been over for about 20, 25 minutes now, well, who knows? It's not over till the fat lady sings. Just a whistle up until now. 36-16, Wilson recovers. Who will come out under center? Looks like Dable.
Well, Coach Atlas is talking to Ernest. Might send a play in with him.
There you go. Ernest is back out there.
As
I take it all back.
Well, as much as we're trying to brew something here, it's clear that Ernest is their man.
You talk about the media wanting storylines out of football games. That would be one to talk
That's
about.
right.
Ernest in shotgun, Wolf to his right, Dable in the slot on the left. Ernest wants to throw deep, steps up and delivers. Dable has it picked off right in front of his face. Noah Shank, another pick on the day. He tiptoes the sideline. He's still in bounds. Shank finally gets ripped to the ground at the 45-yard line. Well, that'll do it. 36-16 is the score. Final 2 minutes will most likely tick away here. Anticipating a kneel down. Coach, let's recap one more time if we can muster the will and the brain power to do it, to think back 2.5 hours ago. This Wilson team came in. They had expectations set high after moving down from Class C. They lost Week 1 to CSP. They cleaned a lot of those mistakes. What can you take away as positives from Wilson?
I think Wilson had flashes where they were hanging with this team, and they play with grit. They persevered through this. I don't see anyone's head hanging over there. And if you're a coach, you're proud of that. And it's again, it's something to build on. That they have a long year ahead of them, and I'm gonna guess that this is one of the better teams they'll see.
Isaac Town now at quarterback for Franklinville-Ellicottville, the sophomore quarterback. Perhaps we won't see him air it out here, though Coach Marsh says he's a much better thrower than he has ever seen, except the one quarterback that he said could throw it better than him was his own son, Lucas, who graduated last year. 2 years ago, back in 2021, the spring of 21. Both these coaches coached their son at the quarterback position. Atlas coaching his son, who graduated 2 seasons ago. Coach, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the Franklinville-Ellicottville Titans. Obviously, you mentioned that road trip from down south all the way up north, the hour break at the midpoint line. They overcome all that adversity after walloping a St. Mary's of Lancaster team at home last week. They were looking to build off that big victory and not slow down at all. They've got the biggest opponent in Class D next week. What can the Titans look for and take out of, perhaps maybe learn from in this game and take forward next week against the Cardinals?
Well, I think they demonstrated they can be pretty versatile with the football offensively, and they weren't forced to do a lot of different things defensively this week, but really I think they should be in a good position to have to be a good challenge next week. They're certainly one of the better teams in Class D, and I think or at least early in their season, next week could be the week for them that predicts their future.
Well, next week could be the week for us, Coach, that predicts our future. We'll be at All High Stadium on Thursday night. South Park welcomes in the Bulldogs of Kenmore East. If you stuck around this late, folks, you'll want to tune in next week as well. South Park welcoming in Kenmore East to All High Stadium. 7 o'clock kickoff on Thursday night as we'll move back to our typical Thursday night high school football spot on Western New York Athletics. Excited to be back on Thursday night, Coach. Loved Friday Night Lights here at Wilson. A great environment. But, boy, I love me some Thursday night football.
Thursday nights are great. Unfortunately, I think there was a game last night that threw us off. I'm not sure. But back on Thursdays is a good thing.
Shout out to Frank Wolf for allowing us the night off last night and giving us a chance to enjoy that game that was played last night with friends and family. Although now I must warn you, every other home game and road game for the local NFL football team, we will need to be at the same exact places, wearing the same exact outfits, drinking the same exact drinks, and taking the same touchdown shots for the remainder of the season. Very superstitious am I. A minute to go. We hope this will tick away rather quickly on a 4th down here. Town will line up under center. Slowinski, the sophomore fullback, behind him. Chuddy, the halfback, the keeper, and pushing of the line forward. Did he get enough? He did. Isaac Town looking to capitalize on his first varsity drive.
All that for a sneak, huh?
Perhaps he called 2 plays during the timeout. Well, no, he didn't. He's calling it in now.
You get some guys in there with the opportunity to play. It's always a good team time at this point. Some guys that don't get in, some non-starters, and it's always fun. It's have the starters supporting the guys who are there for them every day, working with them every day, making them better, and a lot of those guys get an opportunity now to get on the field and do their thing.
Final 20 seconds will tick by with a quarterback kneel from Isaac Town. It was an 8-8 ball game if you can think that far back. 11:35 left in that second quarter of play. After that, all Franklinville, Ellicottville. That'll do it. 36-16, the final score from Wilson High School. Coach, if I had to ask you to pick a player of the game from tonight's contest, who would you choose?
Well, I don't think there's any question that John Nuzzo drove the ship today, and he, no pun intended, Lakeville. Or Wilson, sorry, Lakeman. But Nuzzo was really impressive. Not only did he run the ball inside and outside and did it with confidence and success, he also threw the ball when he needed to, and I don't think there's any question he was a player of the game.
Bo Bilecki would have been my choice. He really put the cap on this game, but couldn't have got the ball without his quarterback throwing him that rock. So John Nuzzo, we'll call it a unanimous decision for our MVP of tonight's contest for Franklinville Ellicottville, who improves to 2-0 on the season. They pick up their first Class D victory of the year. The Lakemen fall to 0-2, both overall and in league play. Both teams looking to continue their trek. Next week, the Franklinville Ellicottville Titans will play Randolph in a big matchup in Class D. Frewsburg will get a chance to take on these Lakemen of Wilson. Folks, if you stuck around this far, cannot thank you enough. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, retweet, share with your friends. Tell all your friends that you loved watching high school football right here on Western New York Athletics. For our entire crew at Wilson High School and Walter J. Hutchison Field, this has been Friday Night Lights on Western New York Athletics. The Wilson Lakemen fall just shy of taking down the Franklinville Ellicottville Titans. I bid you adieu.